Hello there. Hello to my followers from all over the world. Welcome to the 10th podcast of the Talking Drum Show. My name is Miss B. I'm bringing you this live feed from the beautiful Missouri, the Midwestern state in America. The show me state. This is where we show you how things are done. If you're in West Africa, I say to you, Juwa, that's in crew, welcome. Akwaba, that's in tree, welcome. And Karibu, that if you're Swahili, welcome. And all other African languages and other international languages out there, I say to you, welcome. Bienvenue, that's French, to the 10th podcast of the Talking Drum Show. Today's episode is quite an interesting one. And sorry that we're a little late today. My guest is all the way in Barcelona, Spain. The time, there was a little bit of time difference there that we didn't catch too early. So sorry for the delay. But today's show is quite an interesting one. And the topic is life of African immigrants in the West, the life of African immigrants in the West. The wise men say there's no place like home, yet many Africans continue to risk their lives on the deep seas for months and in pursuit of a better life abroad. Many sadly don't make it, yet more and more rather take the risks and leave their homeland to the West. Sometimes, as in the case of war and human rights abuses, they have no options but to leave their homelands. To throw light on this very important issue is a brother, a friend, a gospel musician, a pastor, an IT specialist, and several other talents he has, a guitarist, a music writer. It's a friend and brother. His name is Mr. Samuel Ba, a household name in the Liberian in West African music industry. He will be joining us all the way from Barcelona, Spain. Without wasting any time, I'm going to bring my guest on and we're going to discuss this very important topic today. Hello, my dear brother Samuel. How you doing,
Hello,
brother?
hello there. Thank you for hosting me. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How's Spain today? How's the weather in Spain?
Well, it was pretty hot, but I just came over to the Netherlands today, so
Are
it's
you in the
quite
Netherlands?
yeah. Currently, I just came from Spain like a few hours ago, so it was really hard. But the Netherlands is chill. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's manageable.
Nice, 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 nice. Before we proceed, my dear brother, please introduce yourself to the guests, the potential guests that will watch later and now that are watching. Who is
Definitely sure.
Samuel? Who is Samuel Gba?
Well, I'm just a Liberian musician and a father, family person. Uh, grew up, born in Beaumines, grew up in Buchanan, and yeah, some part of Monrovia, certain time in my life. I love music. I love God. I put Him first,
Amen.
put my family first, and yeah, that's all I can say about myself so far. I'm into IT,
You into
and
IT.
yeah, I'm basically into music, worship, of course. So yeah, I love
How
sport.
long you been in abroad in the West? How long you've been abroad?
Since 2002, 2003.
That's quite a long time.
Well, yeah, quite a long time.
So this topic is just made perfectly for you, folks like you. We're gonna jump right in. There's a tradition here, Sam, that I do ask my guests 10 questions, and after each question, if there's any follow-up questions that it deem necessary, will be asked to the guest. So hope you're ready. We're gonna jump right in and let's have fun and educate our brothers and sisters. Question number one. It is a fact that the vast majority of immigrants come from underdeveloped or less privileged countries to settle in the West. What, in your view, are the chief causes for this ever recurring movement?
Mm. Well, first of all, thank you for that questions. I have a lot of perspective when it comes to that, but my view, technically speaking, will be like you call the rest of the other country underdeveloped, uh, and that word underdeveloped is used because we are still developing, and that is considered Africa to be, but. Naturally, we know Africa is rich, but due to whatever political reason or lack of what we don't have there, I think I would say because most people leave Africa to come to the West because they're in search of better life.
Absolutely.
Most of them in search of better life. They want to change their life. They want for things to become better for them. Some of them in search of education, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, education, and some of them is actually destiny. Because when I was in Liberia, I had a dream, and I kept having that dream over and over just to leave, and I wasn't thinking about the West. I didn't know where I was going, honestly, but the dream kept coming. When I told my pastor, like, I'm gonna leave, like, well, you're set to here. Very soon we'll be going to the US, you'll be going with me, we'll be seeing you'll be ministering and you become a great minister. And it would have been sometimes when I think back, I'm like, it actually would have been great by now. I would have been a great gospel minister. But I listened to that voice that said, you just have to go. And I took my $50 at the time and just jumped on the bus, went to Zerikote. From Zerikote, form a big mass choir from in Zerikore. I don't know how that happened. And then from Zerikore, I went to Mali, Burkina Faso. I went to Ghana, Nigeria. I just started going like that. So uh, I,
Amen.
I just had an urge, and I just believed that it was destiny calling me. But most people do that because of poverty. You know,
Poverty.
yeah, poverty. Our countries right now not that developed, and the system is yet to be developed. So people are in search of better life. People can die just to leave Africa, thinking
Mm-hmm.
that over here is better. you
Right.
know yeah, but that's another thing to talk about. When they leave and come, what happened, those things that they encounter. Some of them education, like I said, those three reasons, education. But then again, when they come for education, and they're done with their studies, the challenge comes back again.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going by with the ingenuity, with the knowledge I've
Exactly.
got, with the pay be
Mm-hmm.
reasonable enough for me there, and then they start to puzzle in their
Will
mind
the
like,
environment be enabling to set up a business? These are some of the
exactly,
questions. Lack
exactly,
of enabling environments, lack of jobs, lack of
indeed,
electricity, lack of
indeed,
people
those
don't want to go
facilities.
back home to set up. Awesome, awesome. That's amazing answer to the first question. So yes, I agree with you there. The people travel for these reasons because it's not like they don't. Africa is rich. You agree with me, right? Africa
Oh
is
yeah,
rich in minerals,
oh yeah,
extremely
wow.
rich, but the environment is not enabling enough to make people become business owners and entrepreneurs and stuff like that. We're going to jump to the next questions. The next question. There are so many unpleasant stories about what immigrants suffer. Could you comment on some of the unpleasantries that immigrants go through in the West and why? You don't have to be personal if you don't want to.
Hmm. Yeah. There are lots of story, unpleasant stories, like you said, but most of which I know is the most famous. I would say is documentations. Documentations, because I mean, the leave. It depends how you live in Africa and going to the West and going to U.S., Canada, and Europe and the rest of it. Uh, Story by which they come is also different, but when they are there, the challenges and story they, they've told, challenges they've been through. Uh, the most famous one I would say is documentation, because people go there for study, like I said, and when they study, after the study is done, they try to look for a document to stay. And you know that we all know that if you don't have document in certain country, it becomes tough for you. Some people even sleep on the street. And especially
True.
these cold country, people sleep on the street with blankets. People with master's degree, people with bachelor degree from their countries, and they come over. Some of them have to change their ages for XYZ reasons, and because of that, it becomes also not conducive for them. So yeah, challenges that I would say, yeah, the unpleasant story. There are lots of them. The list just goes on, but most important one I'll talk about is documentation. Because if you're settled in any country
Documentations.
with, yeah, if you're settled in any country with your documents straight up, you have the opportunity. You have the opportunity. Then you can decide to mess up your life or decide to improve your life. Because coming over here is
Improve your
one
life.
thing. Yeah,
Yes, and how you come, I agree with you there because a lot of people come just want to leave. They will take any opportunity that comes their way to get on the ship, on the boats, on the deep seas, They take the risk. Some travel by road. They just have a little backpack and little snacks and they just want
yeah,
to leave desperately. It's hard. It's hard. I
yeah.
mean, this is to
That's
our
yeah.
leaders in Africa. If y'all can make the environment enabling, focus on job creation. A lot of the young people in Africa would not be taking such deadly risk on the deep seas, on in the deserts, just to leave, to come to the West to look for.
Indeed.
And coming without no documentations is even more deadlier than even the journey because what are you going to do when you
Yeah,
get there?
yeah, yeah,
The next
yeah.
question: what are some of the things that could make life easier for immigrants in the West? Do age, education, culture, and religion have any important effect on on an immigrant who have migrated to the West?
All of them, they do. They do. Age, all of them, they do. Education, culture, religion, not that much because now the world has become so international. Migration has caused the mindset of people everywhere to change. So, yeah, but education, of course, culture, of course, those things are important. Ages as well, because as a young person, if you're over here, you came to study, for example, and you've completed your school with your correct age, and then you want to have a job, you stand good chance. If you're an older person and you drop your age, it doesn't correspond with what you study back home. It becomes a challenge because
Becomes a challenge.
I've seen most educated people like that. I'm like, what did you study back home? They're like, yeah, I have master degrees in this and this. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I'm working. Yeah, I'm cleaning. Or I'm working in the factory. And I'm like, but why can you? Yeah, because to change the age, some even change their names. Because if you twist back
Absolutely.
the document, it will go directly to their degrees and all of their records there. So those things affect them.
Hmm.
Culture as well, because I
That
mean,
is,
when our kids are here, born in here, and it influences also our kids growing up here because we have a different type of upbringing, and these people here got their own system, and
hmm
the system is in favor
right.
of the kids somehow. But I mean, we as African,
Hmm.
we have our own way by which we upbring our kids. So culture affects us; it affects our children as well. So yeah, education, age, culture, indeed greatly affect us.
With age, I have to
But
say
again,
something about that. A lot of Africans who come here with reducing their ages, it's deadly. It's because when you're sick, you go to the hospital. For instance, you took out 10 years of your age. How do you fix that? It is very sad that a lot of people had to take up 5 years, 10 years of their original ages just to fit in, come in and have the opportunity to work and what have you and make some money and go back home. It
yeah,
is sad. It is
it
very
is.
sad.
It is. I thought it was only done by football players though, because of
No, it's not just football players, my
yeah,
dear.
yeah. Lots of
Not
people
just
do that. I
football
don't know.
players.
I don't know why they do that, but I will increase my age so I can go on pension earlier
Instead of decreasing it.
instead of decreasing my age.
That's interesting. Next question. Immigration laws varies from country to country, but have tremendously changed over the years. Do you
Yeah.
think that such laws are stricter today in the West than they were decades ago?
It depends the country because for Liberia to US, it depends on the tides with those countries where you're coming from, where you're going to.
Hmm.
I remember my dad refused for our sister to go to the US. Who didn't like traveling anywhere. Liberians that time were settled back in the days. So the Lord made those days
Hmm.
were flexible because we didn't want to go anywhere. Some certain countries, but like Nigerians and Ghanaians wanted to travel, and more people started coming. So now they are making the rules, the laws, and regulations very strict. And I think it's becoming stronger. The fact that we keep pulling, like you were saying, the boat. I mean, I was reading one
Hmm.
story, I was looking at one video on YouTube. Yeah,
Hmm.
this, and I was looking at one video as well on YouTube. Those boys just sat down there and they realized that they were in Brazil. They just,
Yeah,
I don't
my
know how.
dear, yeah, I saw that two of them. I did see that picture. How can you explain this, my brother? How do
This
people take such risk?
this is
Like
dangerous.
seriously,
I've met them personally. I've met them. I told you I'm just from Barcelona. I got
right?
some boys that came by road. Those boys told me that they even drink each other urine, and then they says
Jesus,
girls, yeah, girls even sell their urine to guys because girls pee a lot, because of their body system. They sell their urine and all of. They go through hell. They go through hell just to get to Europe.
the what to
And
Europe?
because of their persistency, the Westerners are thinking, oh yeah, we got good things here, so they want to come. So let's make it tighter for them.
How do you
Let's make
survive on the deep seas with this kind of thing? Boat. What
is
if
a
it's
risk,
the weather is bad? It's raining. I was reading something, Sam, that said a lot of this stuff subsides and people die continuously,
of
and they
course.
still keep taking such risk.
Of course, this is survival of the fittest.
Lord have mercy.
I'm telling you, it's really, really, really protected. But I think to be general, I think Africa is becoming better. There are other African countries that are really doing well now,
Hmm.
and wouldn't want to even risk. People wouldn't want to go on the sea just to be coming to Europe. There are many people. I went to school with some friends. I still have them on LinkedIn. They went back, like the other one from Tanzania, from
Hmm.
Kenya. They always go back. And then when we are talking, I mean, those people have big positions and they are working and all of that. There are people that come actually go back, and there are people doing well in Africa. But if you look at certain country and the popularity and the level of poverty, they would rather die than to be there. You understand?
That is sad.
Yeah, those
That is
like
sad. And when we're looking at the kind of resources Africa had, the minerals, the natural minerals Africa have, it really breaks my heart to see migrants continuously take these deadly risks to travel to the West.
true,
To seek the pursuit of better life. We're going
true.
to jump to the next question, my brother. This is a follow-up question to question number 4. Is there noticeably disparity in which different groups of immigrants are treated or received in the West? If so, what is this disparity based on or similarly based on? Like group
Hmm.
depending on where you're coming
I
from,
think
like
yeah, I think it's based
Islam
on, yeah,
immigrants and
Muslim. I know.
Muslim Christian immigrants coming. Is
Christians.
there any, especially because you're in Europe, so
Yeah, I mean, Europe. True that there's some level of favoritism. To be honest, we
mhm,
the one from West Africa, we are honestly we're treated differently than even the Arabs, because they're like mulattoes and all of that.
mhm.
They are treated differently, and yeah, for Muslims as well are treated differently, and I think yeah they're a little bit partial in that, and there are other surrounding countries that are not part of the West, but then they are not colored like us, and when they
Mhm.
come over as well, they have given privileges. They give them document fast, they give them houses faster, and even
Because of the skin color.
yeah, and even a black man that has been here working in your country already has a document. To get a house sometimes becomes very hard, and you are looking for house or sleeping in one room or sleeping with someone, and then some white looking person will come from one refugee country, and then they
Some
come because
island, the oceanier countries like the
yeah,
Fiji,
yes,
yeah,
exactly, and
the
they will just
Guam.
give
They
them
come from
documents straight.
Guam, Fiji, and other countries, the islands. They're
Exactly.
struggling there as well, but because of the color of their
Yeah,
skin,
yeah.
they kind of like treat them a little different from the
Mhm.
darker skin immigrants.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to sugarcoat it, but it is what it is.
It is reality we are faced with. Meanwhile, Africa is so rich in natural minerals, so rich,
Indeed,
and
indeed. The
and,
whole of
and
Africa, Europe is actually dependent on Africa.
Africa.
Look at Congo. Without Congo, this telephone we're using cannot be used. Now,
Mhm.
look at this
Look what
Niger.
happened in Niger. Niger, yeah, the
Niger,
France.
look at Niger.
They're
Without
getting
Niger,
electricity from Niger.
this
Can you
this
imagine
this
that?
this nuclear weapon thing will not be made. I mean, without Niger, can you imagine? And in Africa, in the first thing, we don't have nuclear weapon there. We don't
Yeah.
even have it, and they're taking those things to be able to make those things that they're having here. So they're like 100% literally dependent on us. They depend on us, but I think it's because of our government. It's because of our, I mean, how the whole thing started. How those people came and tried to conquer us, took our people as slaves, and
Hmm.
then took some of them back. and that mentality of African changed, and we still believe in slave and masters, so
Hmm.
we have to look up to people. These
And
people should be looking up to us. We should not be looking up.
sadly, African chiefs, some African chiefs partook in slave trading. They
Yeah,
give the people away for matches, sugar,
yeah,
and
barter system
barter system.
used
Sad.
to be called. Yeah,
It's sad. And you would think now the leaders now would do better, wake up and try to create an enabling environment for her citizenry. Next question. Some immigrants have success stories. Others may have to relocate a second or third times before they really make it abroad. Does the host nation or state play a significant role in this when you first travel?
it does.
Your host, it does.
It does. It does. Honestly, it does. There are some European countries that when you go there, it's easier to get document, and the
Hmm.
rules are not straight as compared to other countries. Germany,
Good.
Germany is really hard. Country like the Netherlands, and also
Hmm.
a female and male. It depends as well. Female gets
Really,
document.
sexism.
Yeah, so, yes, as well. Female gets
So is it
document
easier for a female
fast.
to
Yes,
make
it
get
is.
documents in Europe than the
It
male?
is. It is very easy.
Tell
It
me,
is.
please don't tell me what I'm thinking is what you're thinking. What? Why
It,
is it so?
well, I don't.
I mean, say it, brother. We gotta tell the people out there what's going on. What's why? Because
I
I
don't
don't
know.
think every female it's going to Europe with that mindset of to use her body or whatever. I know there are some decent ladies out there that would.
It's not all about the prostitution and all of that. It's about the stories that it come with as well.
Okay.
For example, female circumcision, and
Hmm.
yeah, being abused back home, and when even a man is in Europe and he sends for his family from back home and they come over, they just bring some kind of domestic violence story. That woman will get documents and the man will be kicked out of his house, and the many things favored ladies, to be honest with you, to be honest. Yeah.
I for the sake of for the guys, I'll say this: you're fair. I want to be fair here. I think you're right. You're saying the truth because um, women and children. There's always women and children. When there's any kind of
Yeah,
struggle,
women and children
they
first.
tend to get help first.
First.
If we do, rescuing stuff, we try to rescue the women and children first before you guys are always, you're tough. Great response there. Next question. Some Westerners contend that the influx of immigrants to their shores is putting a huge strain on their economy and livelihood. Immigrants are taking away their jobs and opportunities, they claim. In America, some African Americans and Africans have a weird sense of contention. Some say the Africans have come to take their jobs, while some African Americans say some um, Africans have created a form of hostility between both groups. What's your take on this?
Well, they
I
can
know you're in
say.
Europe, but do you
Yeah.
have black Europeans that are native to Europe that give you guys that kind of contention? Is there a
Well,
similar situation in Europe like we have here?
the Black Americans are giving you guys that that
There's
kind
this
of.
friction that, some Africans claim they are treated differently with African Americans because they believe Africans came here and taking their jobs, right? And and African Americans say Africans just will accept any job because they're so desperate to work and making the system look weird that they would take anything, they would do anything. So there's this thing Africans believe African Americans are some are lazy, they don't want to work, there's this friction between the two groups. Is there anything like that in Europe?
It's really not happening here. I will say it's not. It's really not like that. The people that you can refer to that are taking jobs, for example, the Polish people coming from Poland, coming to the Netherlands and Germany to work, those are the ones to be referred to. Those people say, "Oh, they're taking our jobs and stuff like that." But again, here people provide lots of jobs. There are lots of jobs everywhere, especially when you have documentations. There are lots of
Right.
jobs. So if you want to work, you work. The only thing is owning your own business, establishing your own business, doing those big things is
It's a lot
easier.
difficult.
yeah, it's easier in country like England and
And the
US.
USA, of course, it's easier to
Yes,
establish a
yeah,
business here.
yeah. But
Even
here,
America encourages you to immigrants to establish businesses of your own.
yeah,
They encourage that. They promote you. They support you
which is
to be
good.
business owners here. Yes, the Caucasians do that. They support immigrants here. I think immigrants in America have a better. If you come in legally, though, if you
Yeah.
come in legally, because
It's-
Trump is gonna get you at the border. If you try to jump in, illegal. So we're gonna jump to the next question. Some immigrants never return to their country of origin, even in cases where the conditions that propelled them to migrate no longer exist at home. Is it possible to find a home away from home so much that your home of origin fades away? As an African immigrant yourself, what's your take on this?
well,
Will
I
Liberia
think
ever fade
we always
away?
we always say there is nowhere like home.
Hmm.
That's what we always say, especially when you're born and raised in your own country. You always
Hmm.
love to go back. But some people when they come and then they start to get experiences from sending their family money back home, and people start to treat them bad back home, then they will turn their back and don't even want to go back again. So and then they were like say in their heart like this is my home, and people say home is
Your
where
heart is.
your heart is.
Mm.
So I mean, it depends where you feel comfortable. It depends where you feel comfortable. But your homeland will always be your homeland, no matter what. It will always be your homeland. Most of us guys will still have our parents back home, cousins, uncles, and stuff like that. Ain't got nobody here. So just being alone sometimes still for me, I don't still consider this place being my home. I would say second home or even their home. you know and yeah, that's all I
That's
can
a good
say.
that's a
Yeah,
good response there. But I believe there are some, like you rightly said, that don't even want to go back home because of the memories, the trauma they went through,
went through. Yeah,
experience. Look, my
what it
brother, for a very long time, I honestly didn't feel, even up to now, I feel when I go to Liberia, I feel different in Ghana because I grew up in Ghana. Ghana is home to me. But in Liberia, there's this sense of war. There's this bullet sound. There are certain places you go, the memories comes back and it kind of haunts you.
yeah,
It haunts you, especially kids that lost their parents at a very young age.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
there's this sense of sadness deep
Mhm.
inside of me whenever I go there. I don't know if
Mm.
you feel the same way.
I
You
feel I
know?
I feel I feel pity. I feel pity every time I'm back, especially when I go there and I see certain places still the same, and I see children still walking on the streets selling things and all of that. I feel pity, and I feel if I see them not going to school, I feel pity. But the war thing, thank God I was also there during the war, but that did not, honestly, it did not affect me. I don't know. I think
Okay.
God has blessed me with a strong mindset, because I mean I jump over dead bodies, seeing a woman starve, seeing people kill.
Oh
You know,
Lord, I saw a lot. I saw a lot
yeah,
of deadly
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I've seen a lot as well, but I don't know how God could psychologically clear my mind from those things, and it did not affect me
Yeah.
at all. So I don't
I
see
think
like
I
that.
think my it's because of my age and
Yeah,
the fact that
probably.
my immediate parents, not like
Yeah,
auntie or
yes, of
cousin or
course.
my
So yeah, so when you go
yeah,
back,
that it brings that. I'm sure there are a lot of kids out there that have grown in other places that have become adjusted. But I feel very much at home when I go to Ghana. It's different. It's different.
because you grew up.
Yes. Fear and fear, you know. There's no place like home. Anyways, let's see here. Next question. Do you agree with me that native Westerners who opine that for the security of the economy and people, immigration laws should be tougher and immigrants should be given limited, restricted privileges?
I disagree, because immigrants are bringing in finances, they're bringing in taxes, they're working more, and based on this is just modern slavery. I mean, you were bringing us here. Now we want to come ourselves so we can work for you to develop your country, to boost your economy. So, what's
Hmm.
the need of making restricted rules and regulations that will hinder us or that will restrict us? It would not be feasible for your economic to boost if we are limited and we are still in your country. There's one thing I can tell them. Like most of the time, people should have more job to do. People should work because when people not working, they will do social. They will go collect food stamps, like for the U.S.
Oh
They will,
yes.
yeah, they will collect food stamps. They will like start to do sell drugs or do something, and then things becomes bad. But trust me, those same people that think that, oh yeah, immigrants are the one doing it. No, the black people don't really take drugs. They sell them, and they got it from they learned that from those Caucasian, and then those white people that really take
Well,
drugs.
that's in Europe, not in America. I work in law
Yeah.
enforcement. I'll tell you, I disagree.
Oh,
Black
okay.
people do take drugs here.
The percentage
Oh, yeah.
as compared.
Well, the America is approximately 30% of the citizenry are black, 70% are Caucasian. So there's
Mhm.
a huge disparity, right? We got a
Okay.
lot more white people. So to answer your question fairly, there are
Mhm.
more white people taking drugs because there are
Yeah,
more white people
that's
in America.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
It's the
black
same
people
there,
out of the
but
now here's
they
the
do.
scary part though. Out of the
Yeah.
30%, approximately 30% blacks in America,
Mm.
majority of them, of that 30%, are arrested every day for drugs trafficking.
My God.
Yeah, yes, there are a lot of people in jail right now in the United
Yeah, they're
States,
selling it. They're selling it as business.
statistically because of drugs.
Yeah,
So, yeah, they do take drugs as well. But they sadly they are the ones that are cut the most.
because they're selling it. They sell they are the dealers. So
They are the dealers. They are the dealers. You see a guy down the street, shake your hands, and that's something he just sold the
and
drugs to
something
you.
inside,
There's something inside, and then the other hand gives him the money,
yeah,
and they got it going. They got a pants sacking. That's the
yeah.
that's the thing. That's a culture.
It
It's a big
happens here as
culture
well.
here.
It
It
happens here.
happens there. So
Yeah.
tell me a follow-up question. Are there a lot of blacks Europeans?
Yeah, and we also have you asked me one question I actually forgot to answer that. Yeah, the competitive to Black
Hmm.
American and
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
African American, and we from Africa,
Hmm.
competitive to that. There are people here called Surinams, there are people called Antillians that the Dutch took from Africa and put them on an island, and
Hmm.
then they like colonized them. Then they are here, so they are like the African American there. They don't really like us. They think we sell them.
Ooh,
They
you
think,
see what
yeah,
I'm saying? You see what
yeah.
I'm saying?
I'm there to
That
make
is
money
the
out of them. Especially when
that.
I came first. Now they are changing their mindset
Hmm.
gradually. I mean,
Hmm.
if they are watching me, some of my friends don't say they will get angry, but it's the fact. When I came,
It's a
the,
fact.
those guys thought we sold them. I started to
Hmm.
educate them
Hmm.
about the history of slavery, how it was done, and all of that. And when you're working with them, they don't like you. They don't like you. I'm telling you, it's not.
Charlie, Charlie, you want to speak tree to you, my dear? That is so true. Look, there's this weird sense of contention, right?
Hmm.
L-
Hmm.
Some, I'm not going to say all African Americans, some,
Yeah,
because there are very good number of African Americans that are enlightened, with enlightened minds. They're educated. They don't think like that. But
yeah,
they're very good, huge number of African Americans that think Africans sold them into slavery. So there's this underneath tone of resentment
yeah. Indeed.
towards African immigrants.
Indeed.
It's there. It exists in America.
It's
So
here.
I'm glad you said
Yes.
that about
Mhm.
Europe,
Yeah.
because I've always wondered why. Why would you feel this sense of resentment or contention towards your own black brother or sister from Africa?
Because the history that they gave to them, they said we sold them. We sold them. We did not sell them. You know, one thing
Well,
I told,
there's
yeah,
some truth to it too, though. There's
yes,
some
yes,
there's an iota of truth.
yes, exactly. But I told one guy from Suriname. I told him he was very rude and aggressive and stuff like that. And I told him, I said, let me tell you, it's true that some of you were so kind of so some were taken forcibly.
But the majority were
But
captured.
yes, majority
The
were
facts
captured.
have to be
But
said.
but but also some of you, your grandfather was just like you are being rude, you are being like this. Your grandfather were rapists, they were killers, and they were the attitude that you are putting up on me here. Probably your grandfather was like that, and then they did not want to kill him, so they banished him from the village. Instead of banishing him, they say, okay, let's sell him to the white man. So they saw him, and that's why you're behaving like this. I told one, and he shut up right away. He was very rude, and I said, you are
Wow,
behaving like
that's an
this.
interesting twist to it. I've never heard that. That's good.
I told him, I said, the way you are behaving like this, maybe your great great grandfather was a rapist or killer or someone who was violent. And then there's like, okay, let's just get him out of the village, sell him to the white man. So the attitude is inside of you, is in your DNA. So don't just blame us for saying like we sold you and stuff like that. I
Yeah,
mean,
I want to believe what you're saying because Africa, there are some people when back in the days when you did something bad, they'll tell you to leave the town.
yes, to banish you
They'll
from the village.
they'll banish you from the town. So it's
Yes,
very true that those that were sold into slavery were those that were bad in character and what have you,
yes, of
and
course,
they try to get rid of them and what have
as
you.
well, as well. And some of them were just taken forcefully because of their body structure to use on plantations and all of that. You know.
Yeah. So yes, I will blame both from a sound mind, both Africans.
Yes, and
They were also involved in slave trading. It's
mm,
so, but that should not in any way promote division or
between us,
friction
between us.
between immigrants and African Americans. You know,
Yeah,
I've
true.
had some amazing, like I said, some, not all.
Not all.
Great. Last question. Does an immigrant experience a sense of total belonging in the West, even after naturalization, Western education, and having acclimatized to the new environment? Is there from time to time that reminder that you are from another place? I know this is very relative, but I guess I'd like to hear your take on that.
Relatively different. It depends individually. Individually, someone can feel content after education, after settling, having a house, buying a house, being there. Someone can feel content and I mean, like, well, this is just my place. I'm comfortable. But some people would never. Then also it depends on how they are treated. How they're treated. So it was like, okay, yeah, anyway, yeah, I have my home. So my home will always be my home. Still don't feel like I'm belonging here, even though I've accomplished a lot and everything, but I still don't feel that.
A
So
sense of
individual,
belonging.
yeah, yeah.
Now, as a Christian, do you feel different when you're with your Christian brothers and sisters? Do you feel that sense? Does it ever exist?
No, for me, no,
No.
no, no, it doesn't. To
You feel
you?
at home? No, I don't. If the reason why I ask is that I know a lot of people think that when you die abroad, there are some Africans that have the mind that they want to be buried back home because that's where they feel they're from. Do you want? We have a little bit of time. We did good. We're done with the questions, so I thought we flow a little bit on
Yeah,
something
let's no,
related.
no worries.
What's your
Let's.
take on that?
Well, I'm also one of those that want to be buried back home. To be honest.
Wow, damn you. Tell me why. Tell me why. Tell me why. Because you're a very strong Christian brother. You believe in God. I mean, if this is coming from you, then I really want you to tell me why. You,
Sense, it's just an additional thing, being brought back to my country. That's how, I mean, I know you're dead and gone, you can be buried anywhere and stuff like that, but I feel like, I want to be where my father was buried, where my brothers, my cousins, everybody, and also decoration day, people go in there to still celebrate us, like,
to have
oh,
all the family together.
yeah, together. Yeah, yeah. You die here, they bury you here. And guess what? There's a girl that died in Spain. They just buried her, and they said
Mhm.
the money we paid. They say yeah, it's for 15 years. After 15 years, then you have to start paying every month.
Jesus,
Yes, so you have to start paying. So
are
who
you
will be paying?
serious?
Yes, we'll be paying that every month. In
For
Africa,
the
your place
spot,
is there.
for the
Yes,
spot he was
for the
buried
spot.
at, you have to
Yes,
pay.
pay every month. That those are one of some of the reasons I want to go back home, because you don't know here they'll be like, okay, yeah, this one, I mean, he's not paying now, let's put somebody on top of him. Before you look, your history is gone. There at least we have something to remember. Our grandfather graves are still there. My great great grandfather graves is there in Riverses.
Wow.
There is there. So I want to be taken back home to be buried, so I can feel at home no matter where I will be.
But spiritually, your spirit isn't there with the body, right? It's
When the
like,
trumpet sounds, there will be a transfiguration, and that body will no longer be. You know
what
that.
about
You know.
What's about cremation? What's your take on cremation?
Nah, I'm not into it as well. Honestly, as a Christian, I don't believe that we should do that. I think it's some kind of Indian related. And as Christians, I don't
Yeah.
think we should do that. I mean, look at Jesus's life. Look at Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Those guys in the days, they never cremated them. No, they bury all of them, or they put them in some tomb, or and then
Yeah. Even Jesus was buried in the
Egypt.
tomb. He was
Yeah,
not
exactly.
cremated.
So why would you
And the,
burn me? Now I believe that you're already going through hell by burning yourself, and then you don't you die if you
even your body going through hell too, fire.
hell too. Yes, exactly. You know what I mean?
That's an interesting way to look at it. So would you my last follow-up question to you, would you encourage your brothers and sisters back home to continue to travel to the West? If they, what is your advice to people watching the show in Africa, young Africans that want to travel to the West? What
Well,
advice would you give them?
I always, most of my friends like, oh, send me an invitation, send me an invitation. You got a good job, send me an invitation so I can come. I'm like, bro, if I send you an invitation, number one, if you don't go back now, they can fine me for 15,000 euros. You know that? Can you pay me that 15,000 euros if you find out you don't go back? That's why I'm not just sending anybody invitation. Two, I can always tell them, bro, if you come here on education and you finish that education, they give you, I think, 6 months to find a job. Now the rules are changing for certain country. If you can find a job within that 6 months and you have your document, you don't need to go back. Or you can start to go back and come. Go and come. If you have the money, go back home, do something there, make business and go back. We here, we need to establish something there too. If we want to help people there. I'm not saying we should live here poor and then have mansions there that we will not be able to even live in. That's not what I'm saying. But if we have enough and we want to help people, we should establish things there in order to help others there. But I will not encourage anyone to go by boat or to walk through the desert and then come to Europe.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then at the end, most of them die on the sea.
They
Most of
die
them
on the
die on
sea.
the sea. Yeah. Most of them. I remember during the war in Liberia, we had a milk chorus group, and we wanted to travel. Someone brought the idea, said, "Oh, we can go by road and then go to Europe." All of
Hmm.
us was going to school like, ah, no, 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 nobody doing that one. We didn't do it.
Right.
We didn't do it. We didn't do it. So now, and I mean, there are a lot of ways by which people can come to Europe now legally. All right.
Yeah, you can come to school.
There are a lot of people on Facebook looking for relationship. Talk nicely to those girls, and then if you're honest, people get married to
Hmm.
you. You come over here, or you will
Hmm.
apply for school. There are even scholarships. But instead of risking that life and all of that, but I can tell you, like most of the Nigerians I've met, most of them that came by role, those ones that actually don't go to school. So some of them like really from the village, from the bush. So they just make
Hmm.
the sacrifice to change their life. Although some of them go to school, not all of them, but majority
Right.
don't go to school. They just take that risk because their parents like, oh yeah, some of them their parents pay for it. Oh, go and hustle. I'm sure you will come
Right.
back. Bless you. Go and hustle. And they take the risk. Some of them don't go
They take
back.
the risks. They don't
Yeah.
go back.
Yeah, so I will not encourage anyone to do that, to be honest with you. Go through the referral procedure, go on Facebook or IG, start dating girls. A lot of girls here want people from Africa. They want our Jane, they want our even black girls, not only white girls, even black. A lot of people need genuine people for relationship. If you're honest, you can find a lot of good people. A lot of
You're
good
right.
people. Yes, they will send for
But the
you.
thing with that is that most of these guys will come here genuinely, but when they get here, they when the moment they get their papers, they
They
begin to
change.
leave their partners that bring them over here. So
Same,
that's another thing. People don't
same
want to
thing
do
with
it
the ladies.
because
Same thing with the
you
ladies. It
know,
happened.
yeah, but
Everything is
it's
everything is
both ways.
yeah. But I prefer
It's both
that risk.
ways.
I prefer that risk than to risk myself on that
Bingo,
boat.
on that boat in the deep
Yeah,
seas and
yeah.
with no light, rain. Do you think about sharks? Oh, people are so
I'm
brave, yo.
telling you, man. I'm
You
telling
just
you.
gonna get on that kind of gonna get on that? How
But
what if it's
I always
a shark?
every time they're interviewing them, I listen keenly to see if I will hear Liberian. You hardly hear Liberian. Only 1 hour. One time they were Liberian interviewing. Like, you say, yes, we've been here a long time. We're on this board. No, I said, oh, that one is Liberian. That was my first time hearing a Liberian. Like, what my Liberian brother doing that? Because you hardly hear Liberians. You know, you will hear those
Hmm.
people from
Taking
Pakistan
such
as well.
risks.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So
Give your final thoughts on immigrants sleeping on the streets. This picture was taken in the USA. These are immigrants sleeping on the streets somewhere in the South. Um, it's sad.
it's sad indeed, but they have taken the risk and they are already there. And for them, it is an opportunity now to make it. And sleeping on the street is a start for most of them. From there, they can get help and they can become better. Sometimes some millionaires are on that pictures. You don't even know. Business tycoons are on that picture. They have taken the risk. I will not encourage them to take the risk, but if you take the risk and you've made it, sleeping on the street is nothing. You know, you can. I slept on the street. I slept on the street one or two times, not because of documentation, because I had a divorce and things came in and I didn't want to go home, so I just slept at the train station. I think, and I wanted another place. I had to leave my house, you know. So I don't want to go too personal, but I had to
Yeah,
sleep.
don't go personal. Don't go
Yeah,
personal, Sam.
for one
Sorry
or
to hear
two.
that. You had to go through
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean,
sorry to hear that.
but that was
Well,
different. It's not about
that was
document.
different. It was not
Yeah.
about documentations or the fact that you're hungry or something.
Yeah, nah, nothing like that. It was just because I didn't want to go
Yes.
home, so I just stay at the train station until one or 2 days. And I'm like, nah, let me fix it up. So I mean, if you're already there, there's a lot of opportunity. If you're there, you can do anything to make it. But still, again, you have to be
That
careful.
has brought us to the end of this beautiful show, Sam. Give your final closing, and then I think you already did your final closing, but just sum it up. And I want to thank you for doing this. And sorry, viewers, that we were late because Barcelona and Missouri is quite a lot time difference. We
I
couldn't get it
apologize.
right.
I
Yeah.
apologize. I apologize for that. Next time we'll do
Yeah, I
better.
would love to have you next time, Sam, if you have time for
No
another
problem.
interesting topic.
Yeah, no problem. That would be great. That would be.
All
I
right.
will even try to create an account so I can also be able to put it on my Facebook so people can see
Okay.
as well. So yeah,
All right.
it's quite
Thank you
educative.
so much.
Thank you for inviting me, and God bless you.
Bye, Sam. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye. Hey, viewers, that brings us to the end of the 10th podcast of the Talking Drum Show. It was amazing, enlightening, educative, and beautiful. In summary, I would say to all Africans back home that are trying to travel to the West for a better life, in the pursuit of a better life, please try to take better risk, not deadly risk. All right, not on the deep seas. I treat all of you that are trying to travel to the West to make smart decisions, to not risk your life on the deep sea. Families back home that are waiting on you or praying for you. You don't want them to hear your death news or never hear of you again. So please make smart decisions as you travel to the West in pursuit of a better life. Thank you very much. And like we say, try to come in legally. Whatever country you're going to, try to find a legal means of traveling. Student visa is there, visitations, ask someone to send a visit, get married someone, something legal that you can go and start. And also, finally, to the African leaders, please, Africa is not poor. Africa is not poor. Africa is rich in minerals, rich in natural minerals. Stop stealing the resources of Africa and giving it to the Europeans for peanuts while the citizenry of these countries are living in poverty. Stop it. Sign better deals. Create an enabling environment. How can Niger be supplying light to France, but there's no light in Niger? What sense does that make? Please, African leaders, wake up. Put your citizenry interest first. Your citizens' interests should be first. Create an enabling environment. Create jobs for your people. Thank you, and have a good day. That brings us to the end. And hope please subscribe, share this podcast, subscribe and share, and we look forward to another amazing show next weekend. Thank you so much, and God bless us all.